Imagine a group that went from being one of the most beloved acts in K-pop, breaking records and winning hearts, to suddenly becoming the center of a massive controversy. This is the rollercoaster journey of NewJeans, a girl group that went from adored to deeply problematic in the blink of an eye. In this video, we're unpacking the power struggle, controversies, and everything in between that turn the brightest stars into the most talked about topic in K-pop. In November 2021, HYBE created a new sub-label called Adore and appointed Min Hee-jin as its CEO. The label was created to give her full creative autonomy, especially to develop and debut a new girl group which would later become NewJeans. Min was granted 18% of Adore's equity, while HYBE retained 80%. Some have suggested that this ownership stake enabled her recent action, but in reality, it was a calculated risk management strategy by HYBE. Instead of offering her a high executive salary, they provided equity, tying her compensation directly to the label's success. If NewJeans performed well, she would benefit financially. If not, HYBE wouldn't be burdened with a large fixed salary. According to Min Hee-jin, this was where the rift with HYBE began. In late 2021, ahead of her appearance on a popular Korean talk show, Quiz on the Block, she was instructed by HYBE executives not to mention anything about the upcoming girl group she was working on, including the fact that it would feature younger, unknown trainees. At the time, public speculation was already swirling about former IZ*ONE members, Sakura and Kim Chaewon, potentially debuting under HYBE. Min suspected that by keeping her silent, HYBE was deliberately allowing the public to assume that NewJeans might include the two high-profile idols. In her view, HYBE was using her name and credibility to build anticipation for LE SSERAFIM without giving her the chance to properly introduce or promote her project. While there was a huge argument between Min Hee-jin and HYBE, LE SSERAFIM made their debut in May 2022, which didn't sit well with Min Hee-jin. NewJeans debuted later that year in July 2022, dropping their single Attention. But what set NewJeans' career off was the release of HYBE Boy. Their meteoric rise continued, eventually earning them a Guinness World Record in 2023 as the fastest K-pop act to reach 1 billion streams on Spotify. In the public's eye, nothing was going to stop NewJeans' momentum, but behind the scenes, things were boiling. In early hours of April 22nd of 2024, HYBE initiated an internal audit of Adore amid suspicion that Min Hee-jin was attempting to stage a hostile takeover of the company. Hey man, the time I'm writing this is on April 22nd. Happy 1 year anniversary. Nah, jokes aside. When I first heard this, I was like, damn, I didn't know Min Hee-jin owned that much of the company. But when I checked on it, as I said earlier, she only owns 18% of Adore. And you need more than 50% to do a hostile takeover. So I was like, kinda sus. But, you know, unless if they don't have HYBE's executive at gunpoint to give those shares away, none of this takeover stuff would legally happen. But later that afternoon, on April 22nd, Min Hee-jin retaliated by accusing HYBE of undermining NewJeans' success by debuting a group called Islet back on March 22nd under HYBE's sub-label Belief Lab. She claimed that HYBE and Belief Lab were involved in a copycat issue, refusing to acknowledge any wrongdoing. However, Min Hee-jin later retracted her statement. And not gonna lie, this is pretty rich coming from her because she's been accused of copying a Mexican girl group called Jeans. And I saw this girl group the other night called Speed, and their music video Body and Soul looked awfully similar. But yeah, I'm sure she realized that accusing others of copying you when many artists have explored similar concepts in the past could be seen as hypocritical, and also lawsuits can be a pain in the ass. On the 23rd of April, internal documents were found that listed multiple financial firms and ways to take management rights away from HYBE. The title included things like Final Escape and Keep Us Untouchable from HYBE. I don't know, man. Why do these people keep such important documents not on a USB or something like that? I don't know. These people make it way too easy to be caught sometimes. April 25th is the day Min Hee-jin's legendary press conference was held. She came in that polo drip, you know what I mean? And the Dodgers hat. I watched the whole press conference, and all I can say from this is that Min Hee-jin is quite an emotional human being. Like, the way she was texting HYBE looked like she was a crazy ex. And oh my god, she just kept running her mouth constantly, man. Look at her lawyers, they stressed out for real. And later you're gonna know why, but like, they were like, hold up, shut up, man. To me, she has a real deep passion towards her creative vision, and money doesn't mean much to her, but you know, take it with a grain of salt. But in the conference, she pretty much denied the allegations of her taking over the company. Later that day, HYBE filed a formal complaint against Adore for breach of trust, marking a pivotal step toward removing Min Hee-jin from her position as CEO. On May 7th, HYBE requested a shareholders meeting to dismiss her. In response, Min Hee-jin filed for an injunction to block the effort. The Seoul Central District Court held a hearing on May 17th to deliberate on the matter. May 22nd, Belief Lab also filed a lawsuit against Min Hee-jin, accusing her of obstruction of business and defamation, widely seen as a direct response to her copycat allegations against Islet. Tensions between Belief and Adore were already running high, and just days later, on May 27th, the situation escalated when NewJeans member Honey claimed that Islet's manager instructed the group to ignore her, sparking further controversy. May 30th, the court ruled Min Hee-jin in favor, allowing her to retain her role as CEO, at least for the time being. June 15th, this time, Source Music filed a lawsuit against Min Hee-jin, accusing her of defamation and disruption of LE SSERAFIM's career that caused malicious online comments after Min Hee-jin's press conference. Hey man, she should have kept Sakura and Chaewon's name out of her mouth. Like, she wouldn't be in a situation like this. On August 27th, the situation took a major turn. Despite Min Hee-jin winning the injunction back in May, HYBE leveraged its control to restructure Adore's board and ultimately dismissed her from the CEO position. It was a move technically legally sound, but from an outsider's perspective, it can be seen quite slimy, you know? And just a few days later, on August 30th, she rejected an offer to be Adore's producer. I mean, you know, why would you go for that downgrade? From being a big time CEO to a producer, you know, no. My ego and pride wouldn't let me do that, you know what I mean? On September 11th, NewJeans held an unexpected and unauthorized emergency livestream on an alternate account. Before this, the NewJeans member only slightly touched on the controversy here and there, but in this livestream, they raised significant concerns over HYBE's control of Adore and its alleged internal interference with NewJeans' success. During the livestream, the group spoke out about their mistreatment by HYBE and demanded Min Hee-jin's reinstatement as CEO by September 25. They also indicated that they would terminate their exclusive contracts if their demands were not met. The livestream was NewJeans directly addressing their fans and speaking out against the company's action struck a deep chord with their fan base. This moment marked a major escalation in the scandal, amplifying it to a global stage. What had initially been an internal corporate power struggle quickly transformed into a highly emotional battleground, capturing the attention and concerns of fans worldwide. On September 13th, Min Hee-jin files for an injunction for shareholders meeting to reappoint her as CEO because she claimed she was unilaterally dismissed. But later that day, HYBE stated a lawsuit has been filed to confirm that the termination of shareholder agreement, and we are awaiting the court's decision, which later, in October 29, the court dismissed Min Hee-jin's case. And I just want to say, at this point, Adore is no longer the company it once was. I know Adore is technically a sub-label and all, but from what I can see, the current state of Adore feels like it's Adore in name only. It's essentially just HYBE operating behind the label. But also what seems really weird to me is how close the timing was between the livestream and the injunction. It almost felt like Min Hee-jin was trying to leverage the public outrage to push for her reinstatement, which Min Hee-jin claimed that she discouraged NewJeans from conducting the livestream. So at this point in time, Min Hee-jin and NewJeans are seen as the hero in the public eye. Despite the public outcry, HYBE did not reappoint Min Hee-jin as CEO. Instead, they offered her a role as internal director, which she declined on September 25. October 15th, another event that the public tuned into was Honey's testimonies of harassment faced on May 27th at HYBE at the National Assembly. She delivered an emotional testimony before the National Assembly Environment and Labour Committee, addressing the workplace harassment and bullying within her agency. The thing here is that Honey appeared to criticize her current CEO for failing to take action. But at the time of the incident, Min Hee-jin was still serving as CEO, and which to me, it felt like they were pulling that one out of their ass. And another thing everyone was criticizing her for is smiling in court, saying it's very immature, but man, you don't know how people deal with stress. Like, come on now. Imagine standing in an environment with all these unknown adults. It'll be nerve-wracking. Bro, before I got pushed off at the park as a child and broke my arm, I had a big smile on my face, even though I was scared. That said, it's important to clarify another point. Some here accused Honey of inciting malicious comments towards Islet, claiming she named them directly. As of now, she has not publicly mentioned Islet by name, but it was Belift Lab who released CCTV footage to defend the artist and deny the claim, which led to Honey's claim being dismissed on November 20. On November 13th, NewJeans presented a new ultimatum, demanding the reinstatement of Min Hee-jin as CEO within 2 weeks. The group cautioned yet again that if the demands was not met, they would terminate their exclusive contracts. November 20th, Min Hee-jin resigned from Adore, explaining that while she had attempted to align with the shareholders' agreement, she ultimately concluded that continuing to work with HYBE would be a waste of time. With Min Hee-jin's departure from Adore, NewJeans announced their contract termination through an emergency press conference on 28th of November. The group cited that the agency's failure to protect them and address their concerns are the primary reasons for their decision. They emphasized that continuing to work under such condition would only prolong their psychological distress and hinder their personal and professional growth. The group also confirmed that they will continue their scheduled activities independently without Adore or HYBE's involvement. Shortly after the press conference, Adore issued a statement disputing the claims made by NewJeans. The agency asserted that it had not breached any terms of agreement and argued that the seasons cited by the group did not constitute valid grounds for contract termination. Additionally, Adore requested that NewJeans to come back and cooperate with them. Remember when I pointed out how suspicious the timing was between the livestream and injunction? Well, on December 2nd, Dispatch published an article featuring leaked text messages dated September 11th. Yes, the day of the livestream, between Min Hee-jin and Haeun's father. In the messages, Min Hee-jin allegedly said, "Please clearly request the return of the CEO for the purpose of business normalization." This revelation doesn't exactly help Min Hee-jin's case. If anything, it adds weights to the argument, and that she may have been encouraging NewJeans to speak out, potentially using them as leverage in her battles against HYBE. On December 14th, NewJeans opened a new Instagram account under the name Jeans for Free. Within just 24 hours, the account amassed over 2.2 million followers, which reflected the cult-like fanbase and public's keen interest following their departure from Adore. On January 4th, NewJeans wrapped up all their scheduled activities under Adore after attending the 39th Golden Disc Awards in Fukuoka, Japan. From that point on, they were about to embark on a road ahead, uncertain and filled with challenges. January 13th, Adore filed an injunction to prevent NewJeans from signing with other advertisers. The agency argued that the exclusive contract between NewJeans and Adore was still valid, and that the group's decision to terminate them unilaterally wasn't legally justified. At the time, NewJeans was securing endorsement deals with major brands like Calvin Klein and Levi's, among other. It seems pretty crazy that NewJeans signed up to these brands during the uncertainty of the situation. Like, what happens if they can't meet the major brand's expectation? Would they have to pay a fee? I hope they were smart enough to negotiate like a flexible contract to cover situations like this. February 7th, the members of NewJeans officially adopted the name NJZ while releasing teasers for their upcoming new song and announced that they will be headlining for ComplexCon Hong Kong in March. All 5 NJZ members attended their first court hearing against HYBE on March 7th, marking a major moment in the legal feud. Their legal team cited a total breakdown of trust with Adore, pointing to HYBE's alleged favoritism, media manipulation, and Islet plagiarism controversy as signs the company was phasing them out. For the first time, NJZ publicly named LE SSERAFIM, claiming the group was unfairly prioritized. They stated Honey was removed from a brand ambassadorship and replaced with LE SSERAFIM without warning, which Source Music later denied, but the mention of LE SSERAFIM sparked backlash from both fandoms. Minji addressed the press afterwards, saying Adore's claim of misunderstanding only deepened our wounds. Meanwhile, Adore argued the termination was baseless, citing HYBE's 21 billion won investment and NewJeans' access to BTS for PR as proof of support. That same day, Honey criticized Adore for submitting her private text with Min Hee-jin as evidence, calling it a breach of trust by posting these photos on NJZ's Instagram story. This particular post sparked a bit of backlash because like, bro, you're at court. This is the appropriate time to speak out, and grieving it on social media makes you look very childish. But if you're this far in the video, you know how slimy HYBE can be. I think she maybe was afraid that they'd use her statement in court against her as well. I'd say this is when the public sentiment towards Honey noticeably shifted. On March 21st, Seoul Central District Court's Civil Division 50 granted Adore's injunction that they filed on January 13th, favoring them against NJZ's independent activities. But shit, the timing of this whole thing is crazy. Only 2 days from their headlining act at ComplexCon. Despite speculations that NJZ wouldn't appear. The group surprised fans by showing up at ComplexCon on March 23rd, where they performed their new song Pit Stop. But upon finishing their performance, the group officially announced their hiatus. As the legal battle between NewJeans and HYBE continues to unfold, it's clear that the tensions within K-pop's major agencies are reaching new heights. The fallout from Min Hee-jin's departure from Adore, coupled with NewJeans' growing independence, is not just a corporate power struggle. It's a fight over control, creativity, and the future of one of the biggest girl groups to ever rise in K-pop. This drama has captivated audiences around the world. From NewJeans' explosive rise to their unexpected hiatus, the saga isn't over yet. Fans are left wondering, will NewJeans be able to continue their journey, or will they face even more obstacles from their very agency that helped shape their success? As we wait for the next chapter, one thing's clear: the stakes have never been higher, and the future of K-pop may never look the same. If you all enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Peace.